Have you ever felt like you're paddling as hard as you can, but you're just not getting any closer to the shore of real, lasting happiness? Well, today we're going to dive into a powerful, ancient metaphor that might just explain why. It's all about crossing the river of life. So let's start with a question that might just stop you in your tracks. What if the path you're on right now, the one you're so sure is leading you to fulfillment, is actually taking you somewhere really, really dangerous? To even begin to understand this danger, we have to talk about a feeling that, honestly, we all know. It's this deep, nagging feeling. Let's call it the unquenchable thirst. You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? You get the promotion, you hit a huge personal goal, you buy the thing you've been dreaming of, and for a minute, it feels amazing. But then, once that initial rush fades, that familiar, fundamental sense of unease just creeps right back in. It's like no matter what we achieve in the world, that deep thirst for something more is always there.
So what is it that we're really searching for? Well, ancient wisdom tells us that this deep quest, this thirst, can only truly be satisfied when we realize our true self, the Atman. You can think of it as this timeless, unchanging consciousness that's at the core of every single one of us. That's the real destination we're all looking for. Okay, but this is where the journey gets really tricky. Because along this path, it is so easy to make a mistake. A really fundamental and genuinely dangerous mistake. And here it is. This is the critical error. We start treating our spiritual practice like it's just another tool in the toolbox, a part-time helper to make our material life better. You know, using meditation to be more productive at work, or prayer to land a better deal. Now, on the surface, that might seem smart, but it completely corrupts the real purpose of the entire journey.
And look, this is not a new idea, not at all. In fact, this warning comes to us from a very, very old and incredibly profound source. We're talking about the legendary sage Adi Shankaracharya and his masterpiece, the Viveka Chudamani. The title actually translates to the crest jewel of discrimination. And inside this text is the core metaphor for this whole explainer. And here is the verse, the absolute heart of it all. It warns that anyone who seeks to realize the self by just feeding their worldly desires is like someone who, quote, proceeds to cross a river by catching hold of a crocodile, mistaking it for a log. Just let that image sink in for a second. A crocodile that you think is a log. All right, let's unpack this powerful image piece by piece. First up, you've got the river. The river represents samsara, that endless churning flow of worldly life with all of its unpredictable currents of pleasure and pain that we're all just trying to navigate every single day. Now, the whole point of this journey, the reason you're in the river in the first place, is to get to the other shore. That shore represents moksha, liberation, true self-realization. It's that state of deep, unshakable peace that finally quenches that thirst for good. So to get across this wild river, you're going to need a vehicle. A log is the right kind of vehicle. It's safe, it's reliable, it just floats. Spiritually speaking, the log symbolizes all the legitimate ways to make the journey. Things like selfless action, real devotion, or using a sharp, clear mind as a stable platform to guide you. But then, there's the crocodile. And yeah, from a distance, maybe it looks a bit like a log. But it is not a passive tool. It's an active predator, and it has its own agenda. It's not just that it won't help you get across, it will actively pull you under and devour you. So, let's put it side by side. The log is a true vehicle. It's a passive tool that serves your journey and leads you to liberation. The crocodile, on the other hand, is a dangerous deception. It's an active predator that serves its own appetite, and it leads to you being devoured by the very world you're trying to escape. The choice of vehicle? Well, it's everything. Which, of course, brings us to the most important question for our own lives. What exactly is the crocodile for us today? The verse is really specific. It warns against being what's called a sharira poshanarthi. That translates to one whose primary aim is nourishing the body. But we have to be clear. Body here means so much more than just our physical flesh and bones. So what does nourishing the body really mean? It means feeding our endless pursuit of sensual pleasure. It means feeding our ego's constant need for validation. It's the accumulation of wealth just for the sake of status. It's that relentless chase after every worldly desire and attachment. These things. This is the crocodile. Okay, so if that's the problem, what on earth is the solution?
Well, it's not about running away from the world. It's about a radical, internal shift. It's about reversing your priorities.
Here's the key: the quest for truth. That journey to realize yourself has to become the primary axis of your life. It has to be the sun that everything else orbits. Your career, your relationships, your health, all of it should revolve around that central goal, not the other way around.
So, what does this actually look like in real life? Well, your body becomes a tool for the journey, not the destination itself. You keep it healthy to support the quest. Your finances? They become a stable foundation, not the ultimate prize. You earn what you need to be free from worry, not to get consumed by a hunger for more. And your life's main goal shifts from just accumulating stuff to genuine, deep realization.
And you know, when you make this shift, your entire perspective changes. Life stops feeling like this chaotic marketplace where you're constantly running around trying to satisfy endless desires. Instead, it becomes a field for real, authentic spiritual growth.
And that brings us right back to the one final, crucial question that each of us really has to ask ourselves. As you're making your way across the river of your own life, take a good hard look at what you're holding on to for support. Are you holding on to a log, or are you holding on to a crocodile?